Hi y'all, these are the notes on factoring. So when we are factoring, we're doing the opposite of distributing. So when we're distributing, we're multiplying each term in, right? And when we factor, or if we undistribute, we're taking out each term, or we're dividing it technically, right? We're dividing out each term. So there are 4 different types of factoring we're going to go over in this video. At the end of each part, you're going to pause and work on your work. So for part 1, we're going to factor out a greatest common factor. You've probably heard this as GCF. So our goal is to follow these steps here. So we're going to find a number or variable that divides evenly into every term. So we're going to see what can we divide out from 16 and from 8. I know that I can divide 8 evenly on both terms. And there is an x squared and an x. So we have x times x and x. So that means I could take out 1x from each of those. So I'm going to divide this number out of all the terms. Whatever is on the outside, right? Whatever I divide out, it's going to go on the outside. And then whatever is left is going to be on the outside. So 16 divided by 8, that makes 2. And then x squared divided by x, 2 on top, 1 on bottom. One of each is going to cancel and leave me with 1. And then plus 8x divided by 8x, that would be positive 1. Right? Anything divided by itself is 1. So this would be how we would factor out a GCF from our expression here. So I want you to pause the video, go ahead and pause, try this next one. Cool. All right. So what did you take out of 3 and 15? I know that both of those are divisible by 3. And then in this case, again, I have x and then x squared. So I know they have 1x in common. So 3x is going to the outside. That's what we are dividing out or factoring out. 3x divided by 3x would be positive 1 minus 15 divided by 3 would be 5. And 2x's divided by 1x would be 1x left on top, just like this. So this is your answer. I want you to go ahead and pause the video here. You're going to work on part 1 in your notes. Part 1 in your assignment, and then you're going to come back to watch part 2. So pause here. Cool. All right, welcome back. We're working on part 2. So part 2 is factoring with the x factor. So you might have done guess and check with this in the past, or you might have done like multiply add. You might have done the x factor. I like the x factor. I think it makes it easier for me. So first things first, we're going to look for a GCF if there is one. So if there's anything we can divide out of each of these. I can't take out an x because there's not an x here. And there's no number. This is like 1, 9, and 20. So the only thing I can divide is 1. So nothing I can do for GCF. That's my first step. My second step is to identify B and C. Right, so these are the numbers that I multiply and add. So this is my C. Right? This is what I multiply to get. And then this is B. You can think about it like A, B, C, like that. Essentially, I know that I want to add to get this number and multiply to get this number. Right, so what 2 numbers multiply to get 20 and add to get 9? So one way you can go about doing that is to write down everything that multiplies to get C. So for 20, we might have like 1 and 20, or 2 and 10, or 3 and nothing, 4 and 5, and then 5 and 4. So those are all my options. And I need to find the pair that adds to B. So in this case, find the pair that adds up to 9. So 4 and 5, those add up to 9. So my numbers are 4 and 5. So I'm going to put the numbers in parentheses like x plus 4 because it's positive, x plus 5. Right. When I multiply those back together, it's going to be this here. You can use the box to multiply them back together if you want to check. All right, so this is my factored version of that. So today we're trying to factor. All right, let's try another one. So for this one here, first step, we're going to look for a GCF. So I see that each of these is an even number, so I can divide by 2. All right, so that means I'm going to have a 2 on the outside, and I'm going to have x squared left, minus 22 divided by 2 is 11x, plus 30. Plus 30 like that. So 2 stays on the outside. It's out here. And then we have our regular trinomial on the inside, x squared minus 11x plus 30. So I need to multiply to get 30 and add to get negative 11. So for 30, I have 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 and a decimal, 5 and 6, 6 and 5. Once you get to the place where they flip, then you know that you're done. So I know that 5 and 6 add up to 11, 5 and 6 like that. But since it's negative, I need negative 5 and negative 11. That's also good because negative 5 times negative 6 would give me positive 30. So negative times a negative is a positive. So I know those are my two numbers. So I'm going to still have that 2. I'm going to have 2 sets of parentheses, x minus 5, x minus 6, like that. So this is going to be my answer for this one. Go ahead and pause the video and try this last one on your own before you watch it with me. Pause, pause, pause. Okay, we're back. So for this one, I'm gonna look for a GCF to start. I see again, they're all even numbers. They can all be divided by 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and factor out that 2. It's gonna leave me with x squared minus 46 divided by 2 is 23x, and 48 divided by 2 is 24, like that. So I'm going to multiply to get negative 24, and I am adding to get negative 23. So multiply to get 24, add to get 23. So 24, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, 5 and a decimal. So those are my options. And I need to make 23. I know if I add these, like this makes 10, this makes 11, this makes 14, this makes 25. But if one of them's negative, then it could also make 23. So I know it's going to be 1 and 24. In order to make negative 23, I want the 24 to be negative. Right, so negative 24 and positive 1. So I'd have 2 x plus 1, x minus 24, like that. So this is the factored version of that. Okay, so this is part 1, or part 2. I want you to pause, go ahead and take a pause break. You're gonna go to your assignment and work on part 2 in your assignment. Okay, then you're gonna come back to the video. All right. So now we're on part 3. So if you're star, you should be finished already. You don't need to watch this part of the video. If you're regular, honors, or ACC, stick in with me. So again, for this one, since it has 3 terms, we're going to look for a GCF. In this case, I see that there's not a number that divides in there. So my next step, I see that I couldn't get rid of this number. So I'm going to have to use it in order to find out what to multiply by. So 6 and negative 5, that's going to make a negative 30. So I need to multiply to get negative 30, and I need to add to get 13. Right, so 30 is 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 and a decimal, 5 and 6. So this one's tricky because there's 2 ways to make 13, 2 and 15. 15 minus 2 would be 13, and then 3 plus 10 would be 13. So I need to think if this is negative 30, Means I need one of them to be negative. And I don't want 3 or 10 to be negative, so I'm going to do 2 and 15. And I'll do 15 of minus 2 to get 13. And those multiplied together gives me negative 30. Okay, so we multiplied, we found the pair that adds up. So the next one, since we multiplied times the 6, we now need to divide that 6 out. Kind of like in physics, how like every action has an equal opposite reaction. We have to react and take that 6 back away. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide the numbers that we just got by 6. Right? Then we need to simplify, right? So divide by a and simplify. So negative 2/6 would turn into negative 1/3. And then 15 over 6 would turn into, divided by 3 would be 5 over 3, like that. So those are my two numbers. I'm going to put them in here. X minus 1/3, x plus 5/3. So, oops, that's not 5/3. That'd be 5/2. There we go, 5/2. Because 4 divided by 3, 6 divided by 3 would be 2, not 3. All right, so then that's step 4. And then finally, we don't want those fractions there. So we plug it into parentheses, but then we move the denominators to the front. So what that looks like is we take this number and we move it up here. So it would be 3x minus 1. We take this 2 and move it up here. 2x plus 5. The reason why that helps me, and I know this is a little bit of a trick here, but the reason why that helps me is because that means that 3x times 2x is going to be that 6x squared. All right. And then the negative 1 and the positive 5, that'll give me that negative 5. If we do the middle terms there using the box, then we get the 13. So you can always check these with the box if you would like. Okay. Let's go ahead and do another one so we can start to get the hang of it. So I'm going to check for GCF. There's nothing that comes out of 2 and 7 and 6. So I'm going to do 2 times 6 gives me 12. Multiply to get 12. Adds to get 7. I know 7, 12 is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, 3 and 4. That will work for 7. Since I multiplied by 2, I'm going to need to divide by 2. So this is going to be 3/2, x plus 3/2. And then 4 divided by 2 equals 2. So I'd have x plus 2, like that. Remember with your denominators, any denominator needs to move up to the front. So you'd have 2x plus 3 times x plus 2, just like that. This is my answer. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one, and we'll come back in just a sec. Cool. Hopefully you have an answer you're going to check. So we have 3 times negative 8 makes negative 24. Multiply to get negative 24, add to get negative 2. 24 is 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Well, those are 2 apart, so I know 4 and 6. I want negative 2, so it's going to be negative 6 here. I need to divide that 3 back out. So divide by 3. I get x plus 4 over 3, does not simplify. And then negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2, so x minus 2. And then don't forget to take that denominator, move it out in front here. So we'd have 3x plus 4, x minus 2. And we notice the 3 times the 1 would give me 3x squared. And the 4 times the negative 2 gives me negative 8. So at first glance, it looks like this is correct. Awesome. I really do want you to pause here and go ahead and practice some of these. Don't move on until you have practiced. So go practice on your assignment. Cool. All right. Finally, we have our last section, which is the difference of squares. And this is just like a pattern that we see which is basically when this number is a square and this number is a square, and it's the difference, right? Subtraction, then there's like a special thing that we can do. So we want to check for a GCF, want to make sure that they're both squares, and we want to make sure that it's subtraction. So in this case, we don't have a GCF, but we do have two terms that are squares. So this is b times b, and 16 is 4 times 4, and it is subtraction. So what we do is we say b plus 4 times b minus 4, like that. Just to show you one time why this works, b minus 4, b plus 4, this would be b squared, negative 4b, positive 4b, and 16, negative 16. So these two would cancel here and leave you with just that, b squared minus 16. So that's a trick that works every time, so it's one that we want to memorize. So for this next one, I see there's a GCF of 2. So I have a 2 out here, and then I have x squared minus 4, like that. I see that x squared is a square. It's x times x, and 4 is a square, 2 times 2. So I'd have 2, x plus 2, x minus 2. So this is my answer for simplification of that, factoring of that. All right. And then finally, we have this one. There's no GCF, nothing I could take out, but I noticed this is a square. This is 2x times 2x, and 25 is a square, 5 times 5. So we would have 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5. And if it's kind of hard to believe that those like multiply together, you would try 2x plus 5, 2x minus 5. This would be 4x squared, 10x, negative 10x. So those cancel, and negative 25, which is what we got there. So we know this is the correct answer. All right. Go ahead and work on your practice. You guys got it. Rock it out, y'all.